And the reaction here in the studio, Righty can't watch. And that will be mirrored up and down the land as England finally win a shootout.
That's on mental.
In the World Cup. Running orders getting ripped up. Confetti everywhere. England into the last stage. It's relief as much as anything else. Gary's got Righty's glasses on. And this is the way the quarter-final lineup looks. Uruguay against France and Brazil, Belgium. What a game that will be on Friday. Sweden, England and Russia, Croatia on Saturday. The England heroes, Jordan Pickford and Eric Dyer. They're with Gabriel Clark. Right, let's have a look at the 5 key penalties then which decided this game ultimately here in Moscow at the Spartak Stadium. We'll start with Jordan Henderson. And actually, from David Ospina's point of view, a very good save. I suppose you could argue, Gary, was the sort of height the goalkeeper wanted, but he made very good ground across there.
It was more that he telegraphed it a little bit. He sort of set it out to put it that way with his body shape, and Ospina read it.
You've got to go higher if you're going to do that, to be honest with you.
And then England are on the back foot here. England really are on the back foot, and they get the break there, don't they, when Uribe hits the bar.
Like, we're talking about going high. He's gone for power, and he's tried to go for precision in that side there. If you miss kick that, it's either going over or it's...
Brilliant from Trippier, that.
That's a big penalty, that, because if you miss that, they've got one to win it, so...
And now we're into sudden death, effectively.
What a save.
Again, that's a great save.
Really.
And he's not high enough, it's not in the corner enough, and like you said, he's got the agility.
And I know a lot of people are talking about goalkeepers coming off the line, but actually you can see he had one foot on the line, didn't he, as the ball was hit, and then the pressure is on Eric Dyer to win it. And he gets a hand on it, Ospina. Just get a little something on.
Who cares?
Yeah. But it's in.
To be honest, he should have done better without Ospina, but I'm not too fussed.
And then there's the bundle. There's the relief. That's what it means. And this is what it could mean, because you talked about the mentality making or breaking this team potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even in his interview then, Jordan Pickford, when he was saying we knew they had the game, and I wish he'd have told us that going into extra time, and then we could have calmed down a bit. But I think that there is that belief going through the team now. It's easy to say after when you've won, but I genuinely believe that those players, yes, they had that dip in extra time, and then we'd going in, we thought maybe they're losing it a little bit, but we said at half-time they could come again in the second half of it. And to be fair to them, they took it right to the end, and the penalties were brilliant.
They've put themselves right through it by conceding that last-minute goal, but having come through it the way in which we have, in terms of winning on penalties, they'll come out of it better than they would have done if they just won 1-0 with a mature, professional, really good performance it was. Having come through that difficult moment, the first period of extra time, and then come through a penalty shootout, the confidence, the belief, the sort of inner resilience will be so much more than if we just won the 1-0.
So they'll be that much better for it. You wouldn't want to do it. You wouldn't want to push it on anybody. But actually, if you're looking at us going as far as you can, what you're saying is it's not a bad thing at all. In fact, it might be a real positive.
For the experience for those lads, I mean, a lot of them are still very young. You know, Eric Dyer said, I've never been in a situation like that in my life.
Well, he has now.
And he has now. He has now. So that's a big learning.
Obviously, it was worrying when we didn't attack like we should have. I thought the final third, some of the balls and the way we played, and when they scored, we were on that back foot. But you know something, I had a feeling. I just had a feeling that we was going to do it today. When I saw Jordan Henderson's one miss, I still had a feeling. But you're guessing, really, aren't you? I just don't want to go through that. I honestly don't.
You might have to again.
I honestly can't deal with that.
The next few days are for Gareth and his staff to look at the performance, because you can pick holes in it, but all of that's out the window now because of what they've just done, and then they'll analyse that and say, why did we start to lose it a little bit? Why were we poor in the last third, or not as good? Defensively pretty strong throughout the game, apart from that little spell. So, but all that's for later on. Tonight is just the euphoria of tonight, and as you said, enjoy it with an orange juice or do whatever you want.
But there is a worry. I don't know what was that? What happened to Harry Kane? But we seem to lose that.
A fitness concern.
He was playing on one leg with 20 minutes to go, half an hour to go.
Pretty good penalty on one leg, isn't it?
We lost our impetus there because we didn't really have anything too much going forward when he wasn't our furthest man. It was worrying.
The worry, I suppose, in some ways, and got to try and sort it before Sweden, is that after that first half an hour when we were really high energy, we made loads of runs past Harry Kane with Lingard and Allen and Sterling. Once a team gets through that, we do seem to have a problem with being able to show some quality in the final third when teams are behind. So there are things to pick up, but like I say, it's not for tonight. Tonight's about just enjoy the moment.
Tonight's about hearing from the penalty heroes. Kieran Trippier, vital penalty he took to make it 3-3 to even it up. Here he is with Gabriel. You can only do so much.
No, and there's some players when they're walking up to a penalty, you don't want any player to miss and be the person who obviously costs in some ways. But then when he walked up, you thought, oh, he's had such a brilliant tournament. He's been magnificent, him. I thought before the tournament it'd be safer to go with Cahill at centre back and put Walker on the right, but he's been absolutely wonderful, game in, game out, and he stood up every single time, and he's growing and growing and getting better and better. Now, delighted for him.
You're going, please don't miss.
You don't miss. You don't miss.
I'll tell you what you see when you're seeing a penalty shootout. You look for things that people do, and when Jordan Henderson was coming up for keeping the ball up.
Yeah.
That it just worried. I just no. There's a. I know it might be something to do with steadying the nerves in that, but I was thinking, I'd rather see him with the ball focusing on that. He's doing to keep you up.
Did it send the wrong message?
I don't know. It sent the wrong one to me, and then he missed it. You know, and so it really frightened me. You look for little things like that when people are taking the penalties, but you know, like I say, you know, it doesn't matter really now.
Gareth Southgate will be a relieved and happy man. We're going to hear from him in a couple of moments' time after this break as England win 4-3 on penalties. That's what it means to him and his staff. England into a World Cup quarter-final this weekend. Heroes wherever you look for England this evening. Line there from Gareth Southgate, Ian. So much work has gone into owning the process. Do you want to expand on what he means by that?
I think it's the whole thing from the halfway line all the way to walk. Probably the practice that you've been doing, the confidence, like we heard Kieran Trippier saying, the penalty he's been taking. That's the one he's been taking all the time. Being confident enough to go and do that, and doing it from the halfway line to the penalty spot with everything that's going on. And taking the penalty and scoring it.
Yeah, and what it means is when there is another penalty shootout for England, which there will be sooner, probably sooner rather than later, these players can draw on that. They know that they've won. Owning the process, they know that it has worked before, rather than thinking, oh no, it's penalties, we all know how this ends.
Absolutely, and that's what experience is all about. Good ones and bad ones, and we've had a few bad ones, and now we've got something to look back on and say, actually, we can draw on all that experience. And sometimes you do have to draw on your bad experiences in order to get stronger. And it's about time that we stepped up to that next level. And I'm going to eulogise about Gareth Southgate. Every single word that comes out of that bloke's mouth when he's talking about the England team, how calm he is, could have quite easily got carried away there and he's already thinking about the game. He's just so measured in everything he does, and I think he's done a brilliant job in keeping the game plan and making sure the players stick to it as well.
What I'm most happy about for him is that he took a risk against Belgium, and he believed in his approach. And sometimes when you have the right approach, you sometimes don't get the results that go with it. Tonight, if we'd have lost, people would have said, you know, planning to go ahead, getting carried away, defeat against.
Should have concentrated on momentum.
Concentrated on momentum and all those sort of things. But sometimes he made a bold decision. He made a risky decision, and it did bring with it some sort of. There was an opinion, a sense of opinion from a lot of people saying it's the wrong decision. He's now justified. He has a quarter-final against Sweden versus a quarter-final against Brazil. Now, Sweden are a dog of a team to play against, and it'll be tough on Saturday. But they haven't got Neymar, they haven't got Coutinho, they haven't got Jesus, they haven't got those players to come off the bench, Firmino. They haven't got Zlatan. You know, what I'm saying to you is that now he's believed in his approach and he's now got the result that goes with it. And that doesn't always happen for a coach, and he deserves it.
And does this now mean that whatever happens on Saturday, this has now been a successful World Cup because England have reached the quarter-finals?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, because, you know, people before that, they were just talking about it was only Tunisia and it was only Panama, but you just beat what's in front of you. Then, like Gary said about Belgium, but now we've beaten the Colombia side. Yes, they didn't have their main player, but we're there. I think we should, like Dicko was saying, just be in the moment of where we are now. Let's deal with Sweden now. You know, I think it will be a successful World Cup simply because we've won a penalty shootout and won. We've got something to take from it, but we've still got another step.
It will be successful, but if we go out against Sweden, it'll be always that little thing now going,
I'll be gutted
what
to go
if?
out to Sweden.
Because it opened up after the Belgium game, and now we're in a position where we can, not the final, just look at that next quarter-final and go, one more game, Sweden. It will be, Gary's right, it will be horrible to play against them, but they won't like playing against us. Make no mistake about that.
OK, the players have gone back out onto the pitch at the Spartak Stadium and they're applauding the England fans who were seriously outnumbered by the colourful Colombian support this evening. But it's the England fans who've enjoyed themselves in Moscow and wherever you are.
I said before the game that the England supporters in that stand behind the camera were massively outnumbered by the Colombia supporters, but how the English supporters are celebrating now, you can probably hear them now. Ryan, you're not particularly emotionally involved with this, so you could perhaps give us a dispassionate view on England's performance and the fact they've actually come through when the chips were down.
Yeah, I think overall they deserve to come through. They were the better team. Colombia, poor, especially the first hour. Some of the antics were not great either. And yeah, credit to Jordan Pickford because he took a bit of stick in the last game for some of the saves that he made, but tremendous penalty save, brilliant penalty save.
It was outstanding. What can this do for England now? The fact they have got over that psychological hurdle perhaps of actually winning a shootout.
Well, I think if you go to penalties again, we'll have that confidence because I've got to say, the penalties were good. Even Henderson's was a good save from Ospina. He probably read it. But the penalties were excellent. They kept their nerve. But I tell you, in the game, we were excellent. We were a far better team. They found it very hard to penetrate. We had a lovely balance. We looked like we can always go out and play. We had possession of the ball, but we were good defensively. Harry Maguire was sensational defensively and with the ball. And I tell you, that confidence now that we'll gain. We've got Sweden in the quarterfinals of the World Cup, and we've really got to take that confidence into the next game because we are a very good passing team. We've got movement, we've got young legs to get back and defend. We showed good character, and that will give them the great confidence with experience in what Colombia threw at them because they were a little bit niggly. They wanted to get us rattled, and we kept our calm.
What will they take out of this, Ryan, in terms of the positives, obviously the result, the psychology, etc., but in terms of tactics, what do they maybe need to think about, and perhaps is the midfield something they might need to address?
Well, maybe substitutions, because in the end the substitutions killed the balance of the team because England were on top with Sterling, with Ali, with Lingard in that midfield, that energy that they bring. Perhaps they didn't have the best of games, but the energy that they brought and the pressure that they have defensively is strong. So yeah, tremendous performance and massive confidence going into the big game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they can enjoy this tonight. They're going to enjoy it tonight. We're not used to this. It's 2 years ago that Glenn and I were pitch side after the Iceland debacle. This feels so very different. Let's see what they can do after this.
Gareth Southgate with nearest and dearest in the stands at the Spartak Stadium. A huge sense of relief, of excitement and anticipation, looking forward to the last 8 at the weekend. You wanted to say something about Harry Maguire, actually, because Glenn mentioned it there about how well he played defensively and his passing as well.
I was going to mention him, and I'm glad that Glenn did because he deserved a special mention. Sometimes you think about a performance of where someone goes from being, you know, are you sure about him? You know, you've still got to ask the question before the tournament, is Harry Maguire going to be good enough to be an England centre-back? And you see a performance like that tonight was absolutely brilliant. Courage, stepping into midfield, authority, really fantastic.
I remember watching it. I was doing a bit of MK Dons and I watched him at Sheffield United. He'd get the ball and he'd just go through the team. The whole of the Sheffield United fans, once he got going, would cheer and like big him up, and he'd go through and everything because the way he passed the ball, the way he just ran with the ball, and he's got to this level, and he still does it. He still tries it. He will try and come out of the back and run through, or make those passes where people can cut him out. Take chances with these passes, and we need that.
Yeah, and England had to deal with everything tonight, even the antics of the penalty spot being scuffed up in normal time.
Yeah, we spotted this one. Mojica giving it the old. But to be fair, when he placed the ball on, he never looked like he was going to put anything else. And he also braved for him to stay on the pitch and take one in the shootout. Yeah. That's another thing, because he was injured.
Absolutely. Well done, everybody. That was a long shift. I think we're ready for a drink, aren't we? As everybody at home is as well. Thank you very much indeed. The World Cup takes a break for 2 days. We'll all need a rest after that. Then the quarterfinals start on Friday. We'll have live coverage of Uruguay against France, 2:30 on ITV. We'll also have live coverage on Saturday night of host Russia against Croatia. Join us at 6 o'clock, where we'll have a full review of that England quarter-final with Sweden. So it's someday on Saturday, because the Tour de France also begins this weekend. ITV4 has extensive daily coverage through to the conclusion on the 29th of July, 9:30 Saturday morning. So, spot kick sensation at the Spartak Stadium. England have won a penalty shootout at the World Cup for the first time ever. It's Sweden in Samara on Saturday. Sleep well if you can.